Welcome to Thoughts Off the Stone. Thank you for joining the sesh with me, Justin Barone, your friendly neighborhood pothead. Hope you're having a good week, good day, good month, good year. Hope everything's going well for you. I hope you're having a good time in life. If you're a little bit down, I hope this sesh picks you back up. I got a little burst of energy there. And I think it's because of the vape cart that I'm smoking. It's the Chillbilly Gator Blood Blammo. The reason that I'm smoking it is because I had a conversation online last week or the week before, a couple weeks ago, with another person within the industry who was calling out the triggering nature of products like these. And there was a heavy assumption that there was no thought put into putting out a bullet as a vape cart. I kind of got offended by this post because I was like, this really seems like a lot of overthinking and oversensitivity, because the purpose for this person's disagreement with the bullet casing, like the bullet product or the bullet marketing, the marketing that made this product look like a bullet. Sorry, I'm high. I've had too many puffs of this. It's like, woo. The triggering nature of it can, cause, there's a lot of cannabis consumers there's a lot of people in the world that have experienced very dangerous, very bad situations. Okay. And he felt like the fact that these things were shaped in the shape of a bullet, it was insensitive to people that have experienced this kind of violence. The issue that I took with this was that there are a lot of people on the planet that have experienced these situations, right? But in our culture, we want to make everything a little bit softer for everyone. So it's easier for people to find a way to get triggered or to get upset by a harmless product. And just because something looks like a bullet doesn't necessarily mean that it is associated with death and destruction. Because as I said to him, since it's weed, okay, since it's weed inside this bullet, could we not say that it is a love bullet? And then it's got a different connotation to it, right? That's one of the little mentions that I had. Because realistically, we should be more concerned about whether the product is good or not rather than the casing that it comes in. Because the casing that it comes in, especially for a brand like this, is their brand their brand identity is cowboys, Wild West, that kind of thing, right? So to me, I understand why they would do something like that. I also believe that within companies of that size, you have to sit down and have a discussion with your legal department and human resources and a couple other departments that you have to get the okay from before you release something like that. And the debate from the original post was basically trying to say that they put no thought or effort into it. They just did this thing. I don't think so. I think that they put probably a lot of thought into it, and I think that they came up with a brand that is a cowboy brand. And the symbolism of cowboys is, 6-shooters, horses, cowboy hats, chaps, hay bales, cows, there's a multitude of different things, and they explore all those options. This is just one type of marketing that they have. So to get offended by it, I can understand if it triggers you. I should say that. I do get the fact that if you feel triggered by it, then you're taking that representation as something that's close to you. And I can totally understand and accept that, but that doesn't mean that the product should be pulled off the market. The beauty of freedom is choice. And that goes across the board. It's legal to smoke weed in Canada. So you should have choice, right? And the bottom line is that within the pot industry, within the cannabis industry specifically, potheads, stoners, people that consume weed like cool things. All of our A lot of our paraphernalia, bongs, pipes, whatever, smoking utensils, they're adorned with skulls. So should we then, because skulls can be triggering, so should we then take away the skull bongs too? Because everybody, like, something triggers everyone somewhere. The fact that you're triggered by a product that doesn't actually do harm, it does the opposite. Um, it seems kind of like petty. It seems kind of like you're cherry picking something to get mad at and trying to call something out just based on, like, it's your own opinion. And the beauty of living in, North America is that you get to have an opinion, but you also get to have to hear other people's opinions. That's just the way it goes. So when you have a product like this on the shelf, I don't think that you need to get rid of the product. I think that what needs to be done is you need to decide whether or not you like it. If you don't like it, don't use it. Don't look at it. If you're a bud tender, you can't really not sell it, but you could be selective of who you sell it to, right? Because you don't have to sell. You could pick the right person. Like, there is a pothead that's going to walk into a shop, or a stoner that's going to walk into a shop, and you're going to show him this, and he's going to be like, dude, that's so cool, man. Like, I'm going to blow my brains out. Like, if you're going to outlaw or remove products that look like bullets because you have an emotional attachment to something that really has nothing to do with that product, then, like, what are we doing here? You can't just get rid of things because you don't like them, because somebody else's opinion is like, oh, I like that. And then are you going to get rid of, like I said, skulls? Are you going to get rid of um are you going to get rid of shoot, I just lost my train of thought. That's what happens when you get high, dude. Are you going to get rid of, like, being able to say certain things? Because a lot of stoners say, like, oh, I got so blown out, I blew my brains out, like, whatever, like, are you going to outlaw saying that because it might upset somebody? Like, what are we doing here? you know you can't take away a product just because one section of people, or a one group thinks that it's offensive. Because for the amount of people that you have that are offended by that product, there's people that are not offended that want that product. So if you start taking away the ability to make something that interests someone else, you're cutting into freedom and choice, and then there's no point of having a cannabis industry, because the whole point of cannabis is to have cool shit, smoke good weed, and have a good time, and like, enjoy people, right? But all of a sudden there's this, like, surge to point out products that certain people feel are what's the word for it, dude? I am so stoned right now. I hope you're stoned. I hope you're enjoying the sesh. There's so many people right now that, like, just want to jump on anything, dude. I don't feel like, if you're offended by a bullet as a vape cart, like, I feel like that's on you. I don't feel like that's on the company. I feel like the company is making a brand and a product that they're trying to grow it, but it is niche. Like, they're targeting, a specific section of the consumer market, and you should be allowed to have that. It's not hurting anybody. It's not really doing anything bad to anybody. It's just a symbol that some people don't like. And the bottom line is, like, if you don't like it, you don't don't do it. Don't use it. And it's not really fair to try and, like I said, shut down or take off a whole section just because you don't agree with what it looks like. Isn't that product racism? Obviously, I'm just kidding. But like, so we had this big long debate, and I basically called out the fact that, well, if you take away a product because you don't like the imagery that it portrays, um, then you have to start taking away all images that essentially could upset somebody, right? So that means skulls are gone, no use of that, and then um, you'd also have to talk about, well, terminology that you use, because then that gets all shut down, right? So you just go down the list of shit that you can't do anymore if you start trying to limit products like that. And it felt like a very it felt like a very black and white sided opinion, where it was just sharply cut off at, this is what I feel and that's it. There's no debate about it. Because even when I did bring some of that up, they just sent me because I asked. I was like, well, have you seen the vape carts? Because the thing that they were talking about was actually a pre-roll package that looked like an AK-47 bullet, right? So, but it's plastic. It's just a holder for joints. Like, who cares what it looks like? Like, are you going to get rid of lighters that look like guns then? Like, I don't know, man. You could call anything insensitive at any point if you're trying to relate it to events that are going on. But I think that the bigger problem is that when people try to do that, it's actually just, it's a thing that they have to deal with. Like, there's stuff that goes on all the time that you aren't going to like, that you're not going to agree with, but you don't associate with it. You don't just get rid of it. You learn to deal with it, right? Like, that's what we all need to kind of do. We need to learn to deal with the things that are uncomfortable, or there's discomfort in our lives. Like, those are the things that help you become better at coping. And there's too much, like, I don't cope, I want it to be for me. you know Dude, it's ridiculous. What is funny is that, like, this this type of, um putting things on blast is creating waves through everything. But it seems to me that it's coming from a section of society that just wants everything to be soft. Like, you don't have to accept everything, dude. you know, you have to have the things you like, and you have to have things you don't like. Otherwise, everything can't be balanced. What do you want to live in? Oatmeal? Like, the way that you make everything bland and blah, living gray, is like, you take away all of your option and your choice. If you take away choice, then what is the point? Like, and that's not just for the cannabis industry. That's for anything. We all we've been doing lately is trying to take away things that make us super uncomfortable. But, like, we haven't got to this point in our evolution as humans to like, where was I going with that? Oh my god, I just had a brain fart. What was I saying? Come on, someone help me out here. You can't, your emotion in our evolution. Oh yeah, we haven't been we haven't had we haven't used softness to get to the point that we're at now in evolution. In our human evolution, it's built on being, like, formidable and resilient, not having to accept things that you don't accept. Or, I mean, what? Not having, not, ex, you, it's not having, dude, I'm high. Fuck. This stuff is good. So, bullets aside, the weed in here is actually delicious. I actually did a strain review on it on the Sunday strain review playlist on Thoughts Off the Stem. So if you want to know more about this guy and what it's like, you can check that out. Also, subscribe to the channel. Now, what was I saying? I was saying that in our evolution, it was the harder stuff, it was the adversity that got us to, you know, where we are now. Yes, we've made life softer for ourselves, but that's been a product of struggle. So we need to bring that struggle back, because right now, all I see that's happening, okay, and again, this is only my opinion. All I see that's happening is a bunch of people that want everybody to just be like, okay, everything's fine. Like, doesn't matter what you do, other than, you know, obviously the laws, following laws, but like, you just be whatever you want. Like, we're trying to turn the life into Narnia. Like, some people are going to start changing into like mythical creatures with plastic surgery based on the way that some of this is going. And I think that as a producer, you have the right to try and market gimmicks or products in any way you want, that is not, again, that is any way you want that's not immoral or unethical, right? Does that make sense? And to take offense to something like that, I think is more of an emotional attachment to whatever the symbolism is. And in that case, that's something you got to deal with, dude. That's not something that, you know, people should have to cater to you with. Like, the whole point of life is learning and evolving and becoming a better person. So if you're going to become a better person, you got to accept choice, and you got to accept that, you know, sometimes the things that you have to choose from are things that you don't like, and then in that case, you learn what you like. But that doesn't mean you should limit something because you're emotionally attached to something that's going on right now. I think that we all need to express a little bit of logic in situations like this, because trying to get things canceled for, you know, what your perceived symbolism is, seems kind of ridiculous. The whole point of this thing is that it's supposed to be a cowboy theme. And like I said, people, stoners, potheads, like cool shit. And I can see how somebody would think, "Hey, that's some cool shit. Looks like a 22." I don't take any offense with it. The argument would be, "Well, you haven't been around somebody that, you know, has experienced gun violence." No, but I have shotguns, and I do understand the the weight that comes with shooting a gun. So I can, at least to a certain extent, perceive what it would be like. I know that if I think about what it would be like if something happened to my family, I got a pretty good handle on how that would feel. So it's not fair just because you have that need to connect the two things, be the reason that it's eliminated from production. I don't know. I think it's one sided. I think that it's you can't cater to one opinion, and you're not gonna impress everybody, and you're not gonna make everybody like you. But that's also part of life. That's the beauty of it. Discomfort breeds growth. So be uncomfortable sometimes and just let it happen. Unless it's a major atrocity, which generally, if there's a big major atrocity, it's a unified what the fuck is happening here. You know what I mean? With something like this is just it's a symbol that's divisive, and it did what it was marketed to do. It brought shock, it brought awe, um, it brought people to it, and people buy it, and then it turned out that it was actually a good product. So they got the, you know, they got the full setup, and we're still debating it. But yeah, I think that it comes down to the fact that you have to have choice. None of their marketing ever said like, "Oh, go shoot a gun" or anything like that. Nope. Not even a mention of it. Just, you know, the way that they named their packages, and then people associate the fact that this is called Gator Blood Blammo, and it looks like a bullet. Now I'm gonna go smoke some weed, and that goes to your head. So the imagery is, you know, a bullet in the head. Like, everybody, I'm sure, gets that, and some people, it's just you have to put it in its place. It's not really it's not really associated with the thing that you think that you're trying to associate it with. You know, it's separate it's its own separate thing. for for being too high to say better words. But yeah. So if you want to learn more about it, check it out on the Sunday Strain Review playlist on Thoughts Off the Stem on YouTube. Also, while you're there and you're checking that out and you're watching this and doing whatever, subscribe, like, leave me a comment. Tell me what you think of this stuff. I'll respond. One. I will also take your suggestions of things to do in terms of what to do with the show, not myself, okay? And I'll try to incorporate those things so that, we can have a better sesh experience. But yeah, those are my thoughts off the stem for this week. Stop trying to cancel everything for no reason. Not everything needs to be canceled. Sometimes you just need to be better at being okay with being you. That's just the way it comes. That's what humans do, man. You figure out the things that upset you and you try to steer clear of it. But you're not going to be away from it all the time. You're going to be influenced, or you're going to see something that you don't like. You can't just fucking cancel everything. Yeah. That's what I have to say. Sorry, that was like a little mini rant. Anyway, like I said, those are my thoughts off the stem for this week. Hope you come back next week with me, Justin Barone, on Thoughts Off the Stem on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Good Pods, Podchaser, Pandora, Podbean. What else? Everywhere. It's everywhere, baby. It's out there. Also, check out tots420.com for the latest sessiosodes and blogs and other fun stuff. Yeah. Until next time, keep your lids low, baby.